Restaurants and food establishments who conduct poor sanitation and food handling practices have been cautioned in the past and as recent as last year about this health hazardous practice, but it seems that there has not been a solution to the problem. Last year, the Georgetown Municipality's Health Department conducted a sensitization and training program with scores of vendors who sell food within the city. In that meeting, restaurant proprietors were also a part of that meeting. Ironically, during an impromptu exercise by the Government Analyst Food and Drugs Department, close to 50% of the restaurants that were tested and reviewed were found to be culpable of bad food handling practices. The sanitation experts who conducted the tests at the restaurants found traces of fecal matter on the hands of one food handler. There were also traces of the same fecal matter in some of the food samples. Principal Analytical Scientific Officer at the Food and Drugs Department, TANDEKA BARTON, when questioned by Nightly News, explained that there were several other bacteria that were found in the samples taken from the establishments. She explained how fecal contamination could have occurred in the restaurants.
Fecal contamination can occur based on in this case, a food handler's practice. Visiting the washroom, not washing your hands properly, right? You're going right back to processing, handling food, and with the non-use of gloves, also, because if you're not using gloves within the establishment and you would have visited the washroom, the likelihood of you handling the foods would contaminate the food in that sense.
Unfortunately, the findings of the report does not in any way suggest that sanctions or stringent measures be imposed on those food establishments found to be culpable of unsanitary practices. Instead, the report suggested that more training and sensitization be conducted with restaurants. Director of the Government Analyst Food and Drugs Department, MARLON, had this to say on the matter.
In my capacity as Director of Food and Drug Department, I cannot give a directive to an officer and say, go and close this place or that place. It has to be based on the report of the inspector, and the inspector has to advise that this premises action be taken and take the action, and the superiors enforce it.
Now that there is a perfect explanation for why scores of consumers have complained about being food poisoned by several of the listed establishments, the group said that the names of the restaurants will not be released, even though there is no legal ramifications. The city chief medical officer, Dr. SUZETTE Reynolds, had this advice for consumers.
If they have come down with an infectious disease, let's say diarrhea and vomiting, report it early, because once 2 or more persons would have been eating from the same establishment, we could categorize that as a foodborne illness and we could take further action immediately.
The report further outlined that of the 99 food samples submitted, 37% was unsatisfactory, and of the 102 hands of workers that were swabbed after washing, 47% were unsatisfactory. In regard to food contact services like cutting boards and utensils, 30% of the 125 services swabbed after cleaning or sanitation were unsatisfactory. Javon Vickery, HGP Nightly News.